Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. First off, I just want to start this episode off by saying the Phoenix Suns have finally passed the Dallas Mavericks. To be honest, it should have been a long time coming, but hey, at least they did. It's better now than never. Will they hold on to that spot? I don't know. Because as I mentioned on the last episode, Phoenix has a brutal schedule coming up. So for them, they're hoping that they get a lot of these, because they're playing a lot of good teams. They're hoping these teams are resting their players for the playoffs, and maybe they can sneak a couple victories and make that at least for playing. But now for this episode, it's going to be first time in a while and probably the last time. We're going to talk about, for this season, we're going to talk about 3 teams from each conference that are pretty much already or just about eliminated from the playoffs. So let's start West. Let's start out West. Let's talk about the Pelicans. I spoke a little bit on the Pelicans recently. Zion's been playing really good as of late. But just all year, they've been ridden with injuries. I've spoke on Troy Murphy Jr. Tearing his labrum and not play. He's out for the season. But just for New Orleans, I do think there's missing pieces. You got where you traded Brandon Ingram to Toronto. Toronto's one of the teams I speak on in the East. And now you need to fill your wing spots. Does McCollum and DeJounte Murray work together in the backcourt? We don't know because we didn't get to see enough of a sample size. It did look bad the first game before DeJounte got injured. Then it was McCollum missing a little bit. And then when DeJounte got back, McCollum missed. And DeJounte were out for the year. So we don't know how that's going to work. I say you give you another season, see if it works. If not, work on moving one of them. But I think you need wing help. You need small forwards, power forwards. A little bit more. I mean, you don't have... Herb Jones is good. Troy Murphy's good. But I think you need that starting star caliber small forward would be a spot to fill. And also you need a big. A rim protecting big. And maybe it's the rookie you drafted. He was having a stellar beginning to the season. He's kind of went down. He's not talked about as much, not doing as much as of late, but he had a stellar start to the season, so that was pretty good. But you need a consistent rim-protecting center, and I think that goes a long way towards helping the Pelicans start, because you aren't in a rebuild. We know this. They aren't in a rebuild. So now you want to start this trying to make a playoff push to see if it's worth keeping Zion and see if you can keep Zion healthy. Right now, with unfortunately them not going to the playoffs or even close, it's probably the healthiest we've seen Zion throughout his career. And to be honest, he's looking really, really good. But with that said, I don't know, where they go from here. I think you give the backcourt one more season. You see where it goes. You try to get some wing and center help, and you go from there. Next team, we jump to the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz, I'm not really sure what's going on with. I don't understand. A lot of teams wanted Lauri Markkanen in the offseason, and he decided to sign a contract that would not even allow him to be moved. He can't even be moved because of the contract he signed with the Utah Jazz this season. Now, mind you, he could be moved in the offseason, but the problem was staying in Utah and supposed to be the guy in Utah. He did not have a really good season. He was up and down throughout the year so far. And, we're coming to a close now. And he did have a stellar season. So now it looks like you're paying a lot of money for a guy that maybe can't be what you want him to be. And we know Golden State filled the spot they were looking for him for with Jimmy Butler. So I really don't get where Utah stands, and you still have Jordan Clarkson on the roster. I think he'll be moved, but he hasn't had a great season, so I think it's harder to move someone like that when they haven't had great seasons end of the themselves. It's hard to move those contracts when they haven't really played amazing. Then you have John Collins, not a contract I believe you would be trying to move, but again, he's been up and down much like market, and it's not looking like much of a movable contract. Then you also have Colin Sexton. And what are you doing with him? You tried putting him as your point guard. He's not the point guard. We saw that in Cleveland. We're seeing that in Utah. He's not point guard because he's more of a scorer than he is an assist or a playmaker for teammates. So he's probably best fit as a sixth man to come in for a good team and give you like points off a bench, maybe like a Jamal Crawford. And give you maybe 19, 20 off a bench, something like that. That's probably his best attribute to a winning team. But again, his contract is not so favorable that winning teams have the money to even take it on. So Utah is a wait and see and a lot to watching, in my opinion, and to see where they're going. But I think in the offseason, I think their biggest goal is going to be moving a lot of these contracts. You have a good draft pick. Maybe try get your future. Maybe you get number one. Maybe Utah gets Cooper Flagg. I could see that. And I could see you building around him in Utah. And I could see him as the face of the Jazz. But that's just, that's possible. But you just wait and see. But I think your biggest thing besides the draft has to be moving these contracts, because now you're stuck on them and you aren't winning. So you have to start the rebuild. But to start the rebuild, you kind of need to move these assets and get more draft picks. So it'll be interesting to see where Utah goes. Last team out west that we're going to talk about should be pretty easy to talk about. We're going to talk about the San Antonio Spurs. I say they should be easy to talk about because they were there. They were around the play-in before they got De'Aaron Fox. They get De'Aaron Fox. We didn't really get to see him and Victor Wembanyama really together much before Wembanyama had that blood clot in his shoulder and would miss the year. So I do think San Antonio needs more help. I think you need more veterans than younger guys, but you will have a good draft pick. Because Wembanyama missed and you're going to miss for playing. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Paul is still there this upcoming season. It'll be interesting to see if Harrison Barnes is still there. Those are some of your vets now. I think you need to add a few more vets, possibly maybe one more star caliber player. Give yourself like a big three of Fox, Wembanyama, and insert name here. Maybe a marketing if you want to take up that contract. Looking around the league, trying and think of some guys that's probably on their way out. Maybe a Kevin Durant. Maybe a Sabonis, despite I don't really know how well him and Wembanyama would play together, but it's another star that would want out. I'm assuming, because I think his time in Sacramento is about done. Maybe a Devin Booker. Maybe Chris Paul stays in San Antonio. Maybe he lowers Devin Booker over if Phoenix starts the rebuild that I said they may start. And maybe Chris Paul gets his buddy from Phoenix. Chris Paul and Devin Booker had a really good relationship in Phoenix. Chris Paul spoke on multiple podcasts. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he moves. He talks his buddy into coming to San Antonio. And if you have a backcourt of DL and Devin Booker, and then you have Victor Wembanyama, you get a couple vets, fill out your wing spots, play Victor Wembanyama at the 5. That's a dangerous Spurs team. And especially next season when Wembanyama, he's been there a little bit more, he's more experienced. That's a really good team right there. But Spurs will be interesting to see where they go. But I believe they're just fine. Now we move over to the East side. We're going to talk about 3 teams from the East. We are going to talk about the Washington Wizards. Let's start there. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards. Okay, so Washington's had a really, really, really bad season. Not a lot there. We believe they should have a top pick. Hopefully for them, maybe number 1. Maybe they get their future. Maybe they get Cooper Flagg. That's most definitely the goal if you are Washington, especially with the season you've had and just for not. Problem is they aren't competing with teams, and that becomes a big problem. Is just lack of competition and just not being there, because it just seems like they're just not there. And their talent level, and I'm not saying it's not, but it seems on some games it's not even close to regular NBA talent level. And maybe it's the coaching, maybe it's the play style, I don't know. But at some points, it's hard to categorize them as an actual NBA team. Very immature team. We see that with how they act, how they play. They're getting better, playing better ball, with having Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart in the locker room, which I said this would happen. And we're seeing a lot more from Alexander Sarr ever since those two have got in there. We're seeing him possibly become a future star for Washington. But, of course, you need more. And maybe you can finally move on from Jordan Poole in the offseason. And I don't think Jordan Poole's great for the locker room. I think we saw that in Golden State with Draymond Green punching him because he was bragging all the time. And I think you need to move on from that. But with that said, I do like Washington is looking a little better ever since the two vets they acquired. So I think you do need more vets, but you also need your star, your future guy to build your team around. Right now, I don't think they have that. Alexander Sarr, like, as I mentioned, is playing a lot better, but I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he will be the guy on a competing NBA team, competing for a playoff spot, championship more. I don't think he's the guy for a team like that. This is just an early prediction, and I could be wrong. And, I hope I'm wrong. But that's just from the outside looking in. Another team to talk about out in the East is the Toronto Raptors. So I haven't talked about the Raptors much, besides the fact I said getting Brandon Ingram. I really like that move. I'm not sure if he's even played yet or if he's even suited up for Toronto. I don't believe he has. I'm not 100% sure. But when he does, and when he does start playing next season, I mean, I like that Toronto team. I like their starting lineup. I do think they need to add more players. They need to add more star caliber guys. But I do like the lineup for them. I like that they're a pretty big lineup, long and lanky. And they have talent, young talent. You have R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, you have Jakob Porto, you have Brandon Ingram, you have Scotty Barnes. That's a good lineup. That's a competing lineup, most definitely, especially out east. We see how bad some of the records all of these teams that's in the play-in. And Toronto's there. They're on the outside looking in on the play-in. I don't think they get there. Don't think they have enough time to catch Miami right now or Chicago for the last spot. But the fact that they're like 4 or 5 games out is not bad, especially with how bad they started the season. And the fact that maybe, like, there's something there with Brandon Ingram. Maybe Brandon Ingram is your guy. Maybe you don't need that, like, superstar guy. Maybe Brandon Ingram can finally take the step that we all thought he was going to take. He was compared to Tatum years ago. Now, like, there's no comparison because Tatum's became, like, the superstar of a championship Boston Celtics organization. But he was there. He was, like, literally right there. And he's not up there now. A lot of injuries and stuff like that. But I still believe he's a star. Not a superstar, but he's a star in the league. On good nights, he'll give you 25, close to 30 a game. And that's good. And maybe they get him healthy and he gets more consistent and he's giving you those numbers again. I don't know, but I love the future of Toronto. I think they're looking up, and they're going to have a good draft pick. So I think it's looking up for the Toronto Raptors. Now let's move to our last team out east, and that is the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets, okay. So they're fun to watch. And on any given night, they've shown they can beat any team in the league. But that's all it is right now. It's just on any given night, and it's not consistent, and their play style is not consistent. And to be honest, there is talent on the team, a lot of talent. You have Brandon Miller. He's missed quite a few games this year with injuries. You have LaMelo, of course, very talented. You have Mark Williams, who the Lakers tried to acquire, and the trade got rescinded. He's back in Charlotte. You have decent guys around the roster. Grant Williams went healthy. They got Jusuf Nurkic now. I mean, good, like decently good, talented team. But here's the thing. Winning wise, Miles Bridges is not a really good player. He's been having some really good games. You saw him have his career high against Cleveland early on in the season. Just want to mention that real quick. But here's the thing, like I was going to say. I don't think LaMelo needs to be your best player. He takes a lot of shots, a lot of ill-advised shots. He is very fun to watch, don't get me wrong. He takes a lot of ill-advised shots. I don't think if you want to be a winning team in the NBA, he needs to be your best player. I think if you want to be a winning team in the NBA, he needs to be a number 2, more of a facilitator, and get your shots up as the game goes on. Right now, sometimes he takes 30, 40 shots in a game some nights. And he's not even giving you great numbers on a lot of those games where he's taking that many shots. You don't need that, and I don't think he's the best player on a competing team. I think he needs to be the second or fourth option on a competing team. He needs to be the facilitator and score as the game goes on. Maybe even finish the game, but I don't think he needs to be the star player on a competing NBA team. And why do I say that? Because the evidence is there. Every time he is the star player for the Charlotte Hornets, they are always bottom 4 or 5 team in the league. So just for those instances, I think you need to get a more star caliber player to build your team around. Have LaMelo as the 2, maybe Brandon Miller as the 3, and that's not bad. And then you still have Miles Bridges, so hey, that would be great for your future. But right now with LaMelo as the guy, I don't think you're going to go anywhere or actually compete for a long playoff run if LaMelo is the guy on the team. That's just my opinion. And much like I mentioned with Saw, I could be wrong, but just from the outside looking in, I don't think LaMelo being the best player accounts much to winning. I think it's nice and it's fun to watch, and on any given night, he can go off, get other guys involved, and hey, they beat a really good team. Last night, they beat the Knicks by double digits. Hey, cool. They did that on one night, but you look at their record, they're still bottom tier in the league, and they aren't even really close to doing anything. And if you want to contend, I think LaMelo needs to be the second or fourth option. That's just my opinion. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoy this. Last time, we're probably talking about these 3 teams. Unless one of them makes a 1, I believe Toronto could still possibly make a 1 and possibly get them to play in. And if so, we'll talk about them again. But it's highly unlikely. But hey, thank you guys for joining. And thank you for watching this episode. Come back on Monday.